I'm going to start with a Longtail Cast on. I'm using a 16-inch circular needle. You want to go ahead and just make sure that all of your stitches are not twisted. I just like to go through and just make sure that they all line up. Then we're going to connect and prepare to work in the round. And to do that, I'm going to slip this first stitch off. I'm going to hold it. Now if you started with a slip knot, you don't need to worry about this stitch at all. It will hold itself, but I didn't start with a slip knot. So I want to make sure that I hold it in place so that it doesn't come untwisted. Then I'm going to slip my last stitch of the cast on onto my other needle, onto my left needle, and then slip the first stitch of the cast on onto my right needle. You can see that that really loosened up that last stitch, so I'll just need to tighten it down a little bit. And there I'm connected in the round, and I can go ahead and put on my stitch marker. And I'm starting with a row of purl stitches. After you finish your first round, when you get back to that first stitch, what I like to do is go ahead and grab the tail and just snug everything down so it's nice and neat. And then I put the tail up over my finger, like this. Then when I make my first stitch for the next row, I'm going to just put my needle underneath that yarn, that tail. Wrap my needle as normal and pull it down under the tail and the first stitch and knit off. And then I make my second stitch and knit off. And that has caught the tail up inside of the back of my stitching. I'm going to carry the tail up that way, doing that every other round until I get to a round that is all knit stitches, and then I'm going to weave it in as I knit. And I'll show you that technique as we go. One of the techniques that you'll use in this cowl is making an eyelet row. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to knit 2 stitches together as one. Then you're going to yarn over on your needle. Then knit the next 2 stitches together. And yarn over. Knit 2 together, yarn over. Knit 2 together, yarn over. Don't forget to yarn over as your last stitch on this round. And we're going to be switching back to our main color. And because this last stitch is a yarn over, we want to kind of hold on to that as we get started. And what I like to do is go ahead and go underneath. I'll show you that. Go into knit, and then go underneath that tail of the last color. And then bring my working yarn up to knit, pull it down through, and knit off. I'm going to knit the next one and knit off. And by doing that, I've caught the end of the contrasting color in my stitches, which will help it to stay put. So when you get to these yarn overs, it will just look like it's been looped over the needle. You still want to just knit that like a regular knit stitch. And that's what it looks like. It's time for my next full round of knit stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and weave the rest of this tail into this round. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and lift it up, place it on my finger, go underneath both the stitch and the tail, wrap, and knit off. Then the second stitch, I do not go under the tail. I just knit as usual. The third stitch I do. So every other one, you want to go under the tail as well. And that catches the tail behind your stitches. Just like this. You can do this for a few stitches, or just however long your tail is. So I've weaved it in this far. Got this much of a tail left. You can see on the back, it's nearly invisible. But that tail has been woven in to the work, so I don't have to weave that in. And then I just can snip this off. And you can do this however you like to do it, but I like to do two-handed knitting with Colorwork. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm just going to pin that one down on the first stitch, just like I did with the other color. So knit one, purl one, and then I'm going to do my double wrap off of my left finger, and then just continue knitting like that. And if you're just wanting to throw the entire time, you just want to employ the basics of color working. Pull it up, do your double wrap, and knit off. And then switch back to the other color. And you can also do this, you know, putting the opposite color in your hands to do the color work. There you go. On our next round, we're going to knit one, purl one, and then we're going to knit, but instead of just wrapping once, we're going to wrap the needle twice. And then knit through. So again, that sequence is knit 1, purl 1, go into knit, wrap the needle twice, and then knit through. On the next round, you're going to start with a purl, then a knit, and then you're going to slip your double wrapped stitch and let it come loose. So you'll have this extra long loop. So again, that's purl, knit, and slip. When you're finished with the last row, it's time to bind off, and I suggest using a stretchy bind off. So what you're going to do is knit 1, then knit 2, then you're going to knit those 2 through the back loop. So you're going to take your needle and insert it into the loop like this, so that your needle's coming through the back loops of those 2 stitches, and then you knit it off. Knit another one, and then these 2 knit through the back loop. When you're done with the last stitch, go ahead and pull the tail through and snip it off and get ready to weave in your ends. And so I just want to go under the 2 legs of this first V, like that, and pull that through, and then go down don't want to make it too tight. And then I'll pull my yarn over like that. And then on the inside, I'm going to just weave down through the backs of these purl bumps, the back of the stitches, until I get down into this area here. I want to pull that, I don't want it to be tight though. I want to make sure that it's snug, but it's not making a tight, cinched up area here. And then I just want to go up and down inside of the backs of these kind of purl bumps.